Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my August wrap-up. So I read just such a wide range in August. I read a lot of monster romance, BDSM romance, fake BDSM romance, and some horror. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the first thing I read is A Soul to Keep by Opal Reyne. So I actually picked this up because on Instagram, someone posted the dedication to this book and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I thought, okay, well, if the author is this funny in the dedication, I'm sure the book will be funny as well. And it did absolutely not disappoint. It was funny, but also tender, and I think really well developed, like the world and the plot. It just caught me completely off guard. So this is about Rhea, who is kind of kept on the outskirts of her town because she is thought to be a harbinger of bad luck or of monsters and demons, because when she was a child, demons came into her house and ate her whole family, but they didn't eat her. So she was the sole survivor, and because of that, the village thinks that she brings super bad luck, so they keep her away from them. Except that this is the year that the Dusk Walker is coming. Every decade, the Dusk Walker comes and takes a sacrifice in order to create a protection spell for the village that helps keep out minor demons. So, of course, the village is like, this is a great time to get rid of Rhea because we hate her. So they offer her up, and the Dusk Walker takes her, and they're walking back to the devil realm, the demon realm, through the snow, and it very quickly becomes apparent that he isn't as it appears to be. His intentions are not the whole feasting on the bone and marrow of humans and destruction type of monster. He actually is looking for a companion, because the thing is that the Duskwalkers, they kind of come into being randomly. No one knows how they come into being, but they don't live with each other. So he has no companions, no friends. So he's just lonely because he's been alive hundreds of years, and yeah, he's looking for a friend. So that is kind of the situation. However, you come to realize that the Duskwalker, whose name is Orpheus, is actually so sweet and soft. No, he's a scary motherfucker. He's a really scary demon monster, but he's really sweet. He built a cabin, not for himself. He made a garden and stuff, because all of his sacrifices, he's trying to make them happy so that they can be friends together, live together. And I know what you're thinking. He captured her, but not really, because she lives in a better condition and with more freedom and more protection in the demon world with him than she was in the human world, where she would be constantly just abused. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that, because I don't want to ruin it. I just want people to read it, because it is a monster romance, so if that's not your thing, don't read it, obviously. But I just think parts of this were really good and charming, and I am going to continue on in this series, absolutely, because you meet some other side characters, and I'm really invested in, where all of the Duskwalkers go and what happens in the world. So yeah, I really loved it, and I gave it 4.5 stars actually, which was a complete surprise because I did not see that coming at all. So next after that, I was still kind of in a monstery mood. So I read Luxuria, which I'm not a super fan of the name. That's not my thing. But it was pretty good, and I gave it 4 stars. So this is following Ophelia, who is born into a long line of monster hunters, only instead of wanting to hunt and kill monsters, she instead is attracted to them. So needless to say, she's kicked out of the monster hunter community and shunned, basically. That is until the day that the monster hunters are like, hey, will you do us a favor? We need someone to marry the king of shades. And shades are in their realm like beings that are covered in shadows and they can control shadows, but then in the human world, they're like phantoms. Like they're the chill that runs down your spine. They are like a creeping feeling, and they're insubstantial, but in their world, they control shadows. So she's like, I mean, I fucking guess. So she marries him, and things go from there. And this is exactly what it sounds like. There were not that many surprises. I got what I paid for, and it was good. I gave it 4 stars. I kept going like with the monster theme. I don't know what kind of mood I was in, but I read Morning Glory Milking Farm, which just is really bizarre. It's bizarre, okay? I also gave it 4 stars, but it's more because like it made me laugh and less like I was here for the plot. It's because it was funny and I just couldn't look away from such a like weird premise. So in this world, to make like erectile dysfunction pills, they milk minotaurs. And Morning Glory Milking Farm is a farm that milks minotaurs by hand. So our lead, Violet, is down on her luck and she decides to take a job as a milker at Morning Glory Milking Farm. And out of all of the clients, there's one in particular that like she talks to him and she kind of has a crush on him. And it's about them developing a friendship and a relationship after you've already done something kind of both at the same time sexually explicit, but also mundane. Because like that's her job, so she does that all the time. But yeah, it was just a really weird juxtaposition. And also the actual way that the milking farm works, and like, it was just I couldn't look away, it was fascinating. So like, there's all sorts of different minotaurs that come for milking. There's the ones who like want you to call them like a good cow, or like, I'm gonna milk you so hard, like that kind. There are the clock watchers who like want to get in and out, like bang, 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 and like leave as fast as possible. There's the ones who are like, they think that they're gonna last a long time, but then they come super fast. Like, it was so funny. I was dying laughing. It was so funny. Also, the cover's hilarious. So if you're looking for a funny time, I would recommend this one. And then after that, we're moving into some other ones. So I read this one, Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. This has nothing to do with monster romance. This is completely separate. Don't even think of it at all the same. So this is a paranormal like horror novel where we're following an aging musician who is kind of not dried up, but he's living off of his past glory, you know, doing signings or voiceovers or like meet and greets. And his assistant brings to his attention that someone is selling a suit online with a ghost attached, like a ghost for sale. So he collects a bunch of dark things and he decides that, yeah, sure, let's buy it. So wouldn't you know it, there is an actual ghost attached and it is bent on getting revenge against the musician for something that happened in his past. So this very quickly becomes fast-paced, unput-downable, and bloody, creepy, haunting horror. I really enjoyed the ride, although I think that this would have a lot of problems that would need to be edited out if this was published now. I'm pretty sure this was published in like 2007 because I looked it up because I was like, there's no way that would have been happening in modern day. Yeah, it is 2007 because there is a lot of fat phobia in here specifically, where like every character that they run into that the main character doesn't like is described as fat, and I was like, why? Joe Hill, I think you need to work through some stuff with therapy or something because it's just unnecessary. So like, what can I say? This was a fantastic read minus that problematic element. That's why I got a 4 because I don't think in modern times that kind of language is appropriate when it serves absolutely no purpose and it's not unpacked at all. But as for like the blood and the ghost and the road trip to hell, yeah, this was good. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about some BDSM romance, historical romance, BDSM romance. So that's the trajectory that's happening. I watched a video, I'll link it down below if I can find it again, where someone was saying there's two types of BDSM romances. Ones that accurately portray BDSM like in reality, and then ones that are anti-BDSM but portray themselves as BDSM. And I think I would like to unpack the difference real fast. So BDSM romances that are reality are the ones that are like using safe words, and it's all about consent, and it's all about mutual respect. Okay, great. So then the anti-BDSM but claiming to be BDSM romances are the ones that I've read, like I was listening to some other YouTuber, I'm not gonna say who obviously, but talking about BDSM, they're like, I like when they get all crazy and they just ignore the rules and they just do this and this and this, and then the person just like takes it, and I'm like, oh my God, Lord, sweet baby Jesus, I think you don't understand the whole freaking point of BDSM. Like the rules and the respect are the foundation. So if you're not into the foundation, you're not actually into BDSM, you're just into fake BDSM, I guess. I would just like to say that here because it really annoys me when people recommend BDSM romances that are not correct, are not correct. Yeah, it's like a huge bugbear of mine. Anyway, let's get into the books. So let's talk about Kinked Up by MC Roth, which I would put in the fake BDSM category, okay, for a few reasons. So we are following Trick, who is a top dom in the BDSM community, and his fiance is a sub. So they are planning this like alleyway outside of a club scene that's CNC, which is consensual non-consent. He does this scene, Trick does, and it's the hottest scene that they've ever done. But then when the alley light flicks on, he realizes that the person that he just did the scene with is not his fiance, but someone else. It actually turns out to be his neighbor named Nav, and Nav hasn't been in the scene, but realizes about himself that he probably loves being a submissive. He just hasn't experienced that yet. So from there, it's all about Trick navigating, like, is he gonna stay with his fiance who he's been with for a long time, or is he going to go and be with this other person who gave him like the hottest fake BDSM scene of his life? So I thought that it was hot, but I wouldn't say it's like super realistic. But if you're looking for kinky elements and hot writing, then this might be for you. So after that, I was a little pissy because I was like, I wonder where the BDSM books are that portray reality. I wonder where they are. I wonder where they are. So I did some looking, and one that was recommended over and over was For Real by Alexis Hall. And for real, it's amazing. So this is my favorite BDSM romance I have ever read. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And it is about Lawrence, who is a submissive, but he's been out of the scene for a long time because he broke up with his partner a long time ago, like 6 years ago, I think, and hasn't been really back into the scene since because he's very jaded, and like everyone is so like, there's a lot of ego with dominance, and just he can't find what he's looking for. So he hasn't been going out, and he's just been doing his job, which he's a doctor, and like living at home basically. And his friends are like, you need to get out, you need to get out. Like, your depression house is getting a bit of a lot. You should come out with us to like a BDSM club tonight. And he's like, I guess, okay, whatever. So they're in the club, him and his two best friends, and they see someone walk in, and I just remember the line, they're like, oh, look, a fetus is here. And they're like, who let a fetus in? And so he goes over to this 19-year-old whose name is Toby, and he's like, what are you doing here? And Toby's like, look, I know what I want, okay? I just can't get it on my own. Like, where else am I supposed to meet people who I want to do stuff with other than here? Like, you don't just meet like BDSM people in the grocery store, right? Like, so that's why I'm here. And they kind of have a sassy back and forth, and Lawrence, the submissive, is like, yeah, I guess, I mean, there's probably a lot of doms around, so you can probably find what you're looking for. But then the 19-year-old is like, no, I am a dom. I'm not looking for a dom. So then everything kind of shifts in that moment, because you have an older, jaded submissive, and you have a kind of new to the scene dominant who is very young and inexperienced. But he's like, well, where else am I supposed to get experience? Like, when people are submissives and young, they're like, oh, someone will show them what to do. But it's the same way for people who feel dominant. How are they supposed to get experience, and how are they supposed to learn what to do? Like, you don't just, what, am I supposed to wait till I'm 40 to be a dominant? So they have this back and forth that's actually so brilliant, and I found it so charming. And then things kind of go from there. And this was so good. I think it's like one of my favorite romances. Yeah, I would definitely put it in one of my favorite romances. And it's definitely hands down my favorite BDSM romance I've ever read. So if that is something that you are interested in, I would highly recommend it. It is so good, so good. Yeah, I was just blown away. And I give it 4.5 stars. All right, the penultimate one I read is A Lady for the Duke by Alexis Hall, because yeah, I loved this one so much that I was like, Alexis Hall is doing the most. Great. So I read A Lady for the Duke, which is a newer release, and it is about a trans woman taking her life back in a historical romance. So basically there's the Battle of Waterloo, and two best friends are fighting side by side. They get separated, and they're both injured. And the one that we are following is named Violet, and she was presumed dead at Waterloo, and she took that chance to live as her true self as Violet. But in order to do that, she had to give up her whole world, like her estate, her money, her title, and unfortunately her best friend that she was fighting with. And this is their story. So it is unlike anything I've ever read. I've never read about a trans woman in a historical romance, and I thought it was done extremely well, and the happy ever after just made my heart so warm, and I loved it and gave it 4 stars. And the last one I'm gonna try to get through quickly because my battery is dying, it's yelling at me. So the last one I read is Bought, the First and the Highest Bidder series by Lauren Landish and Willow Winters. So this is back to BDSM, and this is definitely a fake BDSM romance. So this is about a BDSM club where they hold auctions, where submissives can basically create an about me, and then dominants can bid on them and have a contract with them for a month, where they can be either a submissive or a slave to them for a month in exchange for an exorbitant amount of money. We're following a dominant who buys Dahlia, who has a traumatic past, and their story going forward. So there were hot scenes, but this is like super fake BDSM. Like it's not even remotely real. But if you can set that aside, then this is a hot read. But is there a lot of plot? No. Is there a lot of fucking? Yes. Is there a lot of BDSM? Fake. Fake BDSM, I would say. Sure. But yeah, altogether, it was a quick read, but fake. Okay, great. So those are all the books that I read in August. Let me know what you've been reading, and I will talk to you in another video soon. My battery's gonna die. Lots of love. Bye.